Hello, everybody. It's a Wednesday. That means only one thing. It's time now for Supernatural News and Parashare right here on the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. And you know what? We need a co-hostess for this whole thing. So what I did is, yesterday I said it was going to be Mally Fox, but I'm going to take and throw you a curveball today. I'm going to reach across the Twin Cities. It's chilly today. We've dropped like 30 degrees off the temperature. But you know what? We need something warm in our hearts because it is so chilly today. So I reached across the Twin Cities and I pulled out a co-hostess that is not only intelligent and witty and easy on the eyes, but she's also broken every Hindustan Times record known to man when it comes to best-selling books. Ladies and gentlemen, here she is, Jessica Freeburg. Hi, Jess. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. I'm a little colder than I was yesterday because, yeah, it got
Right?
chilly.
Yeah, I mean, we went from wearing shorts to now it's, well, I guess not 30 degrees, but almost 30 degrees. It's 41 out right now. So
Yeah, I've got a heated blanket on my lap and a dog,
I,
so
I
I'm
see
staying
that.
warm.
I see that. Is that Phoebe Buffet right there?
It is Phoebe Buffet.
Hi. Oh, look at
She
that.
wants he wants to be part of the show too.
She can be. Absolutely. Absolutely. We have a third co-host on today. That's for sure. We're going to jump right into it, Jess, because this is kind of a little bit of we're going to start with a shocker today. As far as supernatural news goes, the story broke last night as we're taping on Tuesday. It came out Monday night that a good friend of our show is going through a little bit of a tough time right now. Actually, the story took place in October, and it's just now hitting the news now that a good friend of ours, Aaron Goodwin from Ghost Adventures, has had a bit of a tough time with his own wife, and that she tried to have him killed.
It's just crazy.
The thought is just amazing because keep in mind I don't even know where to start with this. They got married in 2022. And if you follow Aaron on Instagram or social media, this is the love of his life. He raves about her, about how wonderful their relationship is. So when this hit, and TMZ first reported this story, and TMZ kind of has the insight on the boys these days. When this story hit, it was like, what? Because it is so out there. And so I think we should just throw it to TMZ because they have new details as to the story. And it is, as, pardon my language, kids, as batshit crazy as it gets. So we're going to throw it right now to Harvey, and I believe it's Mike who's sitting in for Charles. This is from TMZ Live today, as it was broadcast this afternoon, and let's let them give you the details as to what exactly is going on with Victoria, Aaron's wife, and Aaron, and how we got to the situation where Aaron's life was just more than threatened. There was an actual attempt set up on his life. Here we go.
One of the stars of Ghost Adventurers got a very alarming phone call. And the essence was this: Aaron Goodwin was told by police detectives that his wife put a hit out on him, wanted to kill him, and was trying to do so by enlisting the help of a man who is in prison for murdering his parents and doing all sorts of other heinous things. And that somehow she struck up a relationship with this guy while he was behind bars and ultimately asked him to find a hitman on the outside to do in her husband. It is a crazy story.
Crazy, crazy story. So the guy that Victoria, Aaron's wife, was speaking to is a guy named Grant Amato. And his case is pretty famous in Florida because he killed his parents and his brother because he allegedly or essentially fell in love with a webcam model on the internet and used over $200,000 of their money to pay for webcam services. And essentially they sent him to like a rehab facility. He got out, he got in a fight with them and ended up murdering them. Well, anyways, she got in touch. She saw there's a true crime documentary about this guy. She saw the documentary and essentially struck up a friendship with him. And she says she became pen pals with him in jail. This leads to.
I'm sorry for laughing, but it's just
crazy.
So she's like, "Wow, this is interesting. I like this guy."
Essentially, and that's at least what she's told cops. Is she reached out to him? They were pen pals. So Grant had a legal phone, like a mobile cell phone, in prison that was confiscated. They back in October. They go through his phone in December and find this communication between him and Victoria, and realize that they had been planning to have Aaron killed while he was filming Ghost Adventures. Victoria was sending the guy in jail, Grant, his location, where he was going to be, and Grant was then contacting a hitman outside of jail that was supposed to essentially kill Aaron
and pay him $11,000. And at least according to one of the text messages, my understanding is, Devin, that she made a down payment of $2,500, according to cops.
She had through a PayPal account had paid $2,500, but they allegedly had put together $11,000 together, that once the job was finished, that's how much they were going to pay this guy. When cops confronted Victoria at her house at the end of last week about all this, she essentially said she was having marriage problems with Aaron at the time. She was just pen pals with this guy. And yes, she did fantasize about being with this other guy, Grant, but that ultimately she didn't want her husband killed. And she believed that when she sent the $2,500, it was for a cell phone for Grant.
A $2,500 cell phone? Well, wait a minute. He already had a cell phone because that's how she was communicating with him.
But then it was confiscated. And then did she say that she didn't remember sending these messages?
She alleged that some of the messages she didn't remember sending. Then she fessed up to sending some of them, but ultimately said she didn't want her husband killed. And clearly, the one thing we don't know is what ended up happening with this hitman, because this was supposed to happen in October when Ghost Adventures was filming in Barstow. And obviously, Aaron was still alive. And actually, the cell phone got confiscated a day after the hit was supposed to actually happen. So no clue what ended up happening with the hitman.
you know what's really interesting about that? That's a good defense to say, if she really did intend to do it, it didn't happen. So she's saying, I never intended all along. I'm not sure if that's going to fly with a jury, but it didn't happen.
Do you think you would forget, though, if you asked a murderer to help murder your husband?
She was busy.
You don't think that's a message? I can't remember asking him that.
I mean, this is just a crazy, crazy
and you
story.
would think this guy, Aaron's got to have some serious trust issues going forward.
You would think, right?
Yeah.
I have a feeling this marriage is not long for the world.
I don't know how to tell these guys this, but Aaron has a ton of
said I wasn't in good health. Then one day I went to get my blood.
And it hits home more than you guys know. Aaron was traumatized to start with when over the murder suicide of Mark and Debbie Constantino.
Yeah.
And things started to look a little bit brighter for him when he met Victoria. And now this.
Yeah. Oh, man, it's a lot. Like they said, I don't know how you ever would come back from something like that. I don't think you could.
No. And if you, I showed you before the show, Jess, what this Grand Amato looks like. This guy who all I can, again, I hate to keep swearing and using this word, went batshit crazy over in jail, this killer that she developed this infatuation with. He's no prize. He really
No. And I remember his case. I mean, his case of killing his family was crazy. He's literally a lunatic.
Yeah. And again, mind you, we do a true crime show here, and I understand there's a thin line between fascination over a topic and wanting to get inside the head of someone who's deranged and wanting to crawl around in there and having the fascination of how the sick, deranged mind works, and actually wanting to carry something like that out. There's to want to go to that extent and actually do something like that. There's something wrong with you, to want to carry out the fascination. There's just something wrong with you. And if you know Aaron personally, he's just the sweetest guy in the world. And I don't I search for words when thinking of what kind of absolutely insane lunatic you have to be to even think of wanting to harm a hair on his head. I know he doesn't have very many, much like myself, but to want to actually harm him. How insane you have to be. Now, to follow up on this story, at last they had checked, she was being held in a jail and on $100,000 bond. There was no bond posted for her. So as far as we know, she's locked up.
Well, I would say that's probably good. Hopefully it stays that way, because to consider doing something like that, you have to be unhinged, and that's scary.
You know, I don't know. Again, I know a lot of people are probably seeing this story and sending him notes, which is fine. Don't expect an answer back, though. I mean, don't keep badgering. It's the last thing he needs. But send him notes of encouragement and love. Just tell him you love him, you appreciate him, you enjoy his work, you're sorry for what happened, and leave it be. You know, just let him know that you love him and you want things to be all right. You want him to be all right, because I'm sure he appreciates that. But folks, this is why, and you have to understand why a household name, not someone who's had a couple of seasons on paranormal TV, but this is why someone who's a household name doesn't date a normal, quote unquote, or someone, you know, that watches their show. This is why they stay cocooned. This is why you don't have the fairy tale ending of someone who watches a show who ends up getting to date the star and marry them and live happily ever after. Because of stuff like this. I'll tell you a quick story. It's kind of funny. It's to this day I still get, you know, we had Katrina Weidman on the show last week, right? Mm-hmm. And back when she was on Paranormal State, it's no secret I've had a crush on Katrina for years and years, right? For a decade and a half.
Yeah.
But it was Chad Kalick who eventually was on that show. He had an event out at Donnybrook in Philadelphia. I was hosting that event. And he wanted to bust me out. So he invited Katrina out to Donnybrook and didn't tell me. And he said, I'm going to tell her that you have a crush on her. And I said, you better not. And he said, no, I'm going to tell her. You need to tell her. I'm like, I don't need to tell her shit. You're not going to tell her. Well, he did. He busted me out. And
oh no.
And so she used to tease me for years. And I'm kind of a shy guy when it comes to stuff like that. And nothing came of it other than it was just a joke between the two of us. You know, she would tease me and I would turn red and that would be it, right? That would
yeah.
But the fact is most people don't get to experience being able to tell their quote unquote famous crushes that they like them or whatever. And even if you do, what are you going to do about it? Right.
Right.
But it's that whole thing of, you know, healthy boundaries, right? Healthy boundaries and mental health. And do you really think you know a person? And I wonder because I'm just wondering out loud here. I wonder how well Aaron knew Victoria before he married her. I don't know. I mean, because he travels a lot. He works a lot.
I feel like it's one of those things, though, like this happens, like probably more than we know, right? Where spouses do attempt to hire a hitman or follow through on hiring a hitman. It's one of those like deviances inside of them that even if you knew them really well, you probably wouldn't have any inkling that they were capable of something like that. Because that to me is like a very sociopathic or psychopathic thing to do. And sociopaths can pretend really well to be what we expect them to be. It's that underlayer that no one really sees. You know, sometimes you get little glimpses of the crack in the eggshell.
Yeah.
But this type of behavior, this type of thing to do, it's very psychotic and sociopathic. And so I think she probably, anyone who does this sort of thing can play the game of looking normal really, really well. They've done it their whole lives.
She had to have. She
Yeah.
had to have been like this her entire life and been pretty good at hiding it. I just, my heart aches right now for Aaron. It really does.
Yeah, it's very sad. I feel so bad for him. And really, like message him or whatever if you feel like you need to, but also maybe just silently in the background, lift him up in your thoughts and prayers and send good vibes, just like raise the vibration around him with loving thoughts. I think that could be the best thing we can do for him right now.
Yeah, more than anything, you're right, Jess. Just more than anything, keep him in your thoughts and your prayers and just, because he is going through an incredibly tough time right now. I mean, especially now that it's hit the media, everybody knows about it, everyone's talking about it, and more people are talking about him than to him, right? And talking about the situation and not doing enough to help, right? They're doing more gossiping than they are doing anything to help the situation. So, and I know not a lot of people can claim to actually know him, but if you've enjoyed his work and enjoyed what he's done on television, the very least you can do is just keep positive thoughts out there for him that he has a positive outcome from all of this, that he comes out of it as unscathed as possible. And that he can pick up his life and pick up the pieces and move on and continue to do good work and maybe find somebody who can love him for him and take care of him the way he deserves to be taken care of. That's all we can hope for, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
well said.
Well, Aaron, buddy, if you happen to hear this podcast, I love you to death, brother. And I hope that, I don't want you to take that the wrong way, but you know what I mean.
Wrong choice of words.
I know, but you know what I mean. But I love you like there's no tomorrow, and I just hope that that things shake out all right for you. So I have the coolest picture of him and I from I'm going to say Louisville, Kentucky, from Scarefest, and it's the classic Scooby-Doo and Shaggy pose. I've got him in my arms and I'm holding him like I'm Scooby and he's Shaggy, and he's doing the Zoiks thing, and he's got his eyes crossed, and it's the funniest picture. So I may even post it as my my profile picture here.
You should. That's a nice show of support.
Yeah. So I think I may do that because it makes me laugh every time I see it. And we took that years ago. I think that was like 2009. We took that 2009 or 2010. So I mean, it's been a long time. So take care of yourself, Aaron. And again, we're thinking of you and we're praying for you, buddy. So there you go. All right, let's jump back into the regular normal news, I guess. But we wanted to get that out of the way right away and get that latest out to you there. So there you go. There's an explosive new UFO documentary out there that's got Marco Rubio and other high-ranking officials to break their silence on aliens, Jess.
Ooh.
Yeah. It features interviews with 34 high-ranking officials, including the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. Dan Farah's The Age of Disclosure premiered this past Sunday at South by Southwest. Proof of the statement of "we are not alone in the universe" would constitute the most important discovery in human history. But in the new documentary, The Age of Disclosure, it's just the tip of the iceberg. It premiered Sunday at South by Southwest. The groundbreaking documentary, featuring interviews with 34 senior members of the U.S. legislative, military, and intelligence communities, reveals an 80-year cover-up of the existence of non-human intelligence life and a secret war amongst major nations to reverse engineer technology of non-human origin, per an official synopsis. Though it sounds like the realm of science fiction, unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAP sightings, particularly over military installations, have caused enough real-world bipartisan concern to spark congressional hearings on the subject. The quote here is, "We've had repeated instances of something operating in the airspace over restricted nuclear facilities, and it's not ours. And we don't know whose it is. That alone deserves inquiry, deserves attention, deserves focus," U.S. Senator turned Secretary of State Marco Rubio says directly in the film. Featuring authoritative voices from both sides of the aisle, including Rubio, Senator Mike Rounds, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, and many more, The Age of Disclosure goes beyond what has already been made public, alleging that the U.S. government has been hiding evidence of alien encounters for over 80 years and offering explanations as to how such a massive secret could be kept hidden for so long. The Age of Disclosure director and producer Dan Farah answers a lot of different burning questions, especially to Entertainment Weekly. And I tell you what, for the interest of time here, I'm going to post this article in the description of this podcast, so you can read the interview with Dan Farah. It's very interesting. He actually answers questions about the goal of the documentary, what he wanted to accomplish by interviewing these different people in the film, and what he hoped to get out with the film, and how he hoped to change what we thought about the entire subject. So I'll post that interview so you can read it for yourself. There's also a trailer for Age of Disclosure in the article as well, so you can watch the trailer. So there you go.
Very cool.
Yeah. Our next story here has to do with, if I told you this, you wouldn't believe it. I know you're not going to believe it, but the fact that bloated aliens that look like Jabba the Hutt could invade Earth and wipe out humanity.
Oh, I'll believe it when I see it, Tim.
Yeah, I take this with a grain of salt, although it is coming from Professor Tim Coulson, who's a leading authority on alien existence. He's warned that mankind could be wiped out by vile slug-like beings that look exactly like Star Wars villain Jabba the Hutt.
Oh.
Yeah. Hideous, bloated, slug-like aliens could be coming to wipe out humans in a Star Wars-like invasion, said the Oxford University biologist. The slimy extraterrestrials would look exactly like the Star Wars villain Jabba the Hutt, Professor Tim Coulson wrote in the European magazine, explaining how it's perfectly rational to assume intelligent life exists elsewhere in the universe. If the universe is teeming with life as he expects, these technologically advanced creatures, which will be bloated, slow-moving blobs, that's a quote, may be planet colonizers set on plundering Earth's rich natural resources. Although I would guess you could probably snatch them out of their fat little hands and run away with it, Jess.
It sounds like he's describing me on a Saturday morning.
What rich natural resource would he snatch out of your hands and run away with?
Coffee.
Ah, I see. Yes. Yeah, that probably
And a donut.
Yeah, that probably would be the 1 and 2 natural resource that would come out of my hands too if they came to my house. Yeah. Professor Coulson, who has advised governments on the possibility of alien life, warned that the world must start to treat the idea of aliens as a threat to mankind's existence. He wrote, "Given aliens are likely made from the same stuff as us," I don't know, I'm pretty gooey, "they may very well behave like us. maybe.
I hope not.
Yeah, right.
We're terrible to each other.
That's right. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty rough universe out there. Perhaps high-tech alien spacecraft are already traversing vast tracts of space towards Earth on a mission to make it a new home for the aliens that built the kit, it says. If that is true, we should treat any alien tech that appears in our solar system with extreme caution, Coulson went on to say. The question of what aliens might look like if they exist at all has captivated humanity for decades. Experts have suggested that they might resemble anything from jellyfish and shrimp-like looking creatures to little green men with pointed heads and large eyes. But Professor Coulson, who has won awards from major institutions, including the Royal Society, believes the most common alien life forms would need to be dexterous enough to have created and control the technology around them. That means they would need jointed arms, multi-digited hands, and organs and brains to make sense of the world around them. So, of course, he came up with Jabba the Hutt. I mean, that makes perfect sense.
Sure it does.
Yeah. But because advanced alien civilizations will have been relying on technology to make their lives easier, they will have become slow, sluggish, and largely sedentary. That pretty much describes humans. Yeah.
Like I said, me on a Saturday.
That's right. Professor Coulson, the author of The Universal History of Us, a 13.8 billion year tale from the Big Bang to you, said if he had to hazard a guess about what the most common intelligent aliens look like, he put his money on them not being enormously athletic. Well, that's great. We can take them.
We can outrun them at least.
Yeah, we can outrun them.
Just keep running, Tim.
I say we put a big kiddie pool full of pudding out in the front yard, and we pudding wrestle for whatever technology we can get.
There you go. I think we can just distract them with the Princess Leia bikinis, right? And just all wear those around.
I would look horrible. I'd have to shave my back. I'm just saying, yeah. Give me a fighting chance.
They might like that. We don't know what they like. We don't know what their kinks are.
That's true. Well, you're right. Okay. I will go Harry Back then for 500.
All right.
Harry Back is a great band name, by the way. They go on to talk about the Jabba the Hutt-like aliens and that they're more Jabba the Hutt than Chewbacca, and perhaps even using robotic tech to help them move around, much like Baron Vladimir Harkonnen does in the book Dune.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
So they may be a little more advanced than we thought.
Yeah, that might be trouble because I mean, I don't know if we can outrun them if they've got electronics helping them out.
Yeah, that'd be a little tough. Yeah.
Here I was thinking they're going to be like the slow zombies and we're going to be fine.
Yeah, not so much.
Nope.
The academic said if aliens do exist, they are unlikely to visit Earth without attempting to colonize it for themselves. He wrote, there doesn't seem to be much point in aliens sending tech part way across the galaxy only for it to send back data it collects thousands of years later. Listen to me. There may be no one left alive to read it or interpret the messages. So he seems to think they're going to be smart about how they do things. So there you go. Our next story has to do with the secretive X-37B space plane. By the way, it's back after 434 days in space. To me, it just looks like a abandoned space shuttle. I'll show you a quick picture here. It just looks like a reject space shuttle from the 80s or 90s thrown out there.
Yeah, it does.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
And one without windows, for that matter. The mission, which was the 7th for the enigmatic space vehicle, reportedly broke new ground while it was out there, resembling a miniature version of NASA's now retired space shuttles. See, I told you. This pint-sized robotic space plane was passed over to the U.S. Department of Defense back in 2004 and has since embarked on a series of secretive orbital missions, sometimes spending over 2 years at a time in space. Its most recent mission saw the X-37B launch into space atop a SpaceX Falcon Heavy back in December 28th of 2023, prompting speculation that it may have been heading for a higher altitude than usual. This was confirmed a few months later when the vehicle was spotted by satellite tracking hobbyists in high orbit. Now, though, according to reports, its seventh mission to the final frontier has officially ended, with the X-37B having touched down at Vandenberg Space Force Base in California on March 7th. It seems weird to call it Vandenberg Space Force Base.
That's a lot.
Yeah, rather than Vandenberg Air Force Base.
Yeah.
Yeah, that feels weird. While details of what it has been doing during its 434 days in space remain thin on the ground, no surprises there. An official statement on the Space Force's website reveals that it had performed a robust maneuver capability while helping characterize the space domain through the testing of space domain awareness technology experiments. Boy, that's a bunch of hullabaloo, isn't it? Mission 7 broke new ground by showcasing the X-37B's ability to flexibly accomplish its test and experimentation objectives across orbital regimes. There's some word salad for you.
A lot. You're doing it, though. You're doing it.
I am. The Chance Saltzman, who is the chief of space operations, the successful execution of the aerobraking maneuver underscores the U.S. Space Force's commitment to pushing the bounds of novel space operations in a safe and responsible manner. As is often the case, speculation is rife that the X-37B was likely involved in a number of other clandestine activities while in orbit, including spying on rival nations such as China. My guess is spying. That's what it was doing. I'll take spying for 500.
I think you might be right.
Yeah, I don't think it was doing anything having to do with any maneuvers other than spying. So I'll take that one. I have another story here, Jess, about a famous filmmaker's UFO encounter, and he said it was something like it was out of Star Wars.
Ooh.
So maybe the aliens are Star Wars-like. They are Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, there's a theme.
That's right. Peter Farrelly, a rather famous director, recently encountered an experience with a UFO that occurred in Rhode Island in 1975. Farrelly is a Golden Globe winning filmmaker who has directed films such as Green Book, Dumb and Dumber, and There's Something About Mary. Oh, I hope that's not where he got that one scene from a spitting alien. You know what I mean?
The hair.
Yeah.
Hair gel, quote unquote.
Hair gel, yeah. Had a close encounter on a deserted stretch of Route 295 while driving home from the University of Rhode Island with a friend 50 years ago. It had been 3 a.m. when they became aware of something in the sky nearby. All of a sudden, as it's coming up on us, suddenly it's a massive thing, he said. And that's what I would say. That's what she said. You know what I mean? Just saying. And it's a rectangular shaped craft. I will say, okay, it's rectangular like. It's hard to say how big it is because you can't tell how high it is. But it seems to be a few hundred yards up, is what Peter Farrelly went on to say. Maybe it's 1,000 feet up. It's not that high, but it's rectangular shape. And there's zillions of lights around it. And the lights are going back like sideways. I'm telling you, it's right out of Star Wars. You know, when you see the thing come up over you and it just keeps going, and I'm looking up at it like, what? I think he's talking about a Star Destroyer, you know, like the scene at the very beginning of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I remember my legs, he said. They went weak. They were completely rubbery. Like I remember pushing my foot on the gas and it was an effort. I literally lost all the blood in my leg somehow. Even today, Farrelly remains perplexed about what he had encountered that night. I feel confident that it was an unidentified flying object, but whether it was from this planet or whatever, who knows, he went on to say. Interesting. So Peter Farrelly believes he encountered the Empire.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah. I wonder if he had an encounter with the Emperor or Vader or both. You never know.
Maybe he'll make a movie about it.
He might. Maybe he'll... You know, there's a whole new series of Star Wars movies that were announced recently. So,
oh, were there?
Yeah. In fact, Zendaya is going to play Jade Mara.
Ooh, I love her.
And they're going to totally screw up the Star Wars storyline now. Jade Mara was supposedly the wife of Luke Skywalker in between a bunch of movies you didn't see.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's going to be very, very weird for a lot of people. It was a storyline that George Lucas wrote years and years and years ago. And he was trying to convince Mark Hamill, if you just wait a bunch of decades, we'll film these. And you and somebody else will get married, and you won't have kids, but you'll train a bunch of Jedi, and it's a very weird storyline. But
yeah.
Yeah. But now Zendaya is going to be Jade Mara, and she'll have her own movie.
That'll be cool. I do really like her as an actress. I think she's great.
Oh yeah, she's very good. Yeah. So it'll be interesting. I don't know how they're going to get, Sebastian Stan did some of the work in The Mandalorian of Luke Skywalker, young Luke Skywalker. So I wonder if they're going to bring him back to be Luke Skywalker in this Jade Mara movie.
That'd be good.
Yeah. Could be good. Could be good. Let's see here. I believe we have, is it 2 more stories before we go to break? Yes, 2 more stories before we go to break. The world's oldest known impact crater has been discovered in Australia. Turns out that it's situated in Western Australia. The crater was formed when the Earth was still very young, some 3.5 billion years ago. It turns out that they've discovered the oldest meteorite impact crater on Earth in the very heart of the Pilbara region of Western Australia. The crater was formed more than 3.5 billion years ago, making it the oldest known by more than 1 billion years. The discovery was published in Nature Communications. Curiously enough, the crater was exactly where they had hoped it would be, and its discovery supports a theory about the birth of Earth's first continents. The oldest rocks on Earth formed more than 3 billion years ago and are found in the cores of most modern continents. However, geologists can not agree how or why they were formed. Nonetheless, there is agreement that these early continents were critical for many chemical and biological processes on Earth. Many geologists think that these ancient rocks formed above hot plumes. Hot plumes sounds like a girl band. I don't care who you are, but yeah, I don't know.
You got all the bands tonight.
I do, yeah. They formed above hot plumes that rose from above the Earth's molten metallic core, rather like hot wax in a lava lamp. Others maintain that they formed by plate tectonic processes similar to modern Earth, where rocks collide and push each other over and under. Although these two scenarios are very different, both are driven by the loss of heat from within the interior of our planet. They think differently, though. I tell you what, I'll post this one as well so you can read the theory as to how exactly this impact crater was formed and how you get rocks that are older than 3 billion years old. It's quite fascinating. So there you go. And one more cosmic phenomena out there that's engulfed our solar system. It turns out that millions of years ago, our solar system stood in the path of a veritable tsunami of gas and dust. I don't know if you've ever been crop dusted by a tsunami of gas and dust before. You do have a few males under your roof.
I was going to say, it sounds like hanging out with my teenage son back in the day.
Yeah, see? And you feed him a little bit of sugar and a little bit of beans.
Although I would say the 15-year-old daughter gives him a run for his money. She's pretty gross. Adorable, but disgusting.
Oh, there you go. See? According to a new study, approximately 14 million years ago, our solar system was entirely engulfed by a huge cosmic structure measuring some 9,000 light years across. It was filled with stars, gas, and dust. We call it Hollywood. This galactic wave passed straight through our cosmic neighborhood, engulfing the Earth and all other planets as it came through. To determine this, University of Vienna doctoral student, I believe it is Ephraim Makoni, and colleagues looked at the data from the European Space Agency's Gaia telescope to analyze how the wave was moving. This enabled them to extrapolate when it likely passed through our solar system. 14 million years ago sounds like a long time, but it was actually relatively recent. The dinosaurs went extinct around 66 million years ago. If any animals had happened to look up at the night sky during that time, they would have seen that the stars dimmed, although partially obscured by fog. Scientists now believe that the wave may have even contributed to a period of climate cooling that occurred during the middle Miocene epoch. Yeah. Though this has yet to be confirmed. Even so, it remains to be seen just what an impact this cosmic rendezvous may have had. My question is, how do you even know it happened?
Right?
You know,
That's a good question.
you can guess. How do you know
It
what happened?
seems like, yeah, it seems like a lot of this is just like hypotheses. Is that a
And
word? Hypotheses?
hypotheses and
Thank
conjecture.
you. Yes.
Yeah,
Hypotheses and conjecture. Yes.
which is the name of my new album. Hypotheses and conjecture. Just saying. AI is getting scarier, Jess. We'll have the details after the break. It turns out that an insanely realistic new AI voice is indistinguishable from a human.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll tell you why you can now copy grandma's voice and get her social security check. I'm just saying. I'm just thinking of nefarious ways to use it.
It's all downhill.
A museum in Ireland is plagued by the sightings of ghostly reflections. We'll tell you what's going on there in Ireland. Everyone supposedly has psychic abilities. A controversial new study has been released telling us why we should either shut or get off the pot when it comes to psychic abilities. There's a brand new, fully, supposedly clear picture of Nessie.
Ooh, yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, it was released last week. We'll talk about it. Also, the Loch Ness Research Center is recruiting a full-time Nessie hunter. Evidently, it was a good one. Are you volunteering? I see your hand.
I'm in.
Okay, well, we'll put you in for the job. So evidently, Jess will have a new career by the end of this program. And our palate cleanser today, sometimes a name is just a name. We'll tease it with that. But that name can get you in trouble. We'll tell you all about it at the end of the program. Did I have you curious at all?
Oh, I'm always curious, Tim.
Oh, okay. That's Supernatural News, and we'll pick it up with Parashare next week. If you have a Parashare for us, by the way, you can send it in, tim@darknessradio.com. You can go to darknessradioshow.com, click on that blue button, leave us a voice note, or if you have a lovely studio like the ones you're watching us on video, make your own theater of the mind. Send it in. 3 ways you can send us your Parashare. So when we come back, more stories right here with myself, Tim Dennis, and right over there, the lovely Jessica Freeburg. When we come back right here on the best in paranormal podcasting, this is Darkness Radio. Welcome back to the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. Right over there, our co-hostess, Jessica Freeburg. Jess, I don't know how to explain this past week in Minnesota. It's typical March, isn't it? I mean, we're in tournament time already, so that means it has to snow on us.
Yeah.
We've already had our first spring, almost summer day.
We sure have, yes.
Yeah. As I mentioned, Indy showed up in the garage looking for food. It's been very interesting. It's been an interesting week.
It's been nice.
Yeah. Yeah. In daylight savings time, I just wasn't ready for it this weekend. I don't know why.
It always surprises me. Like, I can't believe we're already there. I feel like the year just started.
Yeah, you know what? Is it just me? You know, Art Bell used to talk about the quickening, right?
Mm.
How he felt like everything was speeding up.
Yeah.
And I read the book, but to me, it feels like as time marches forward, it really is getting faster. And most people will say, well, that's just old age, Tim. But it's not that. It feels like even now, days are getting faster than normal. Does it feel that way to you?
It really does. And I have always kind of chalked it up to as you get older, it goes quicker. You have more stuff you're responsible for. And so your day just goes so fast because you feel like you can't get it all done. But I mean, it's kind of crazy. I can't believe we're already in like mid-March.
Oh, we're firmly mid-March.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's almost like that merry-go-round that can't, it's picked up too much speed and you can't figure out a way to slow it down.
No, you just got to hang on for dear life.
Yeah. Yeah. Either that or figure out a way
try not to puke.
Yeah. Yeah. And try not to puke. And it's a bizarre pattern, you know? because when you're thinking of just a way to survive, you're not looking forward to anything in the future, and you're not planning ahead, right? You're just figuring out how to survive from one day to the next.
Yeah, that's true. That's why you have to be present and in the joy of the now,
Very true.
right?
Very
Yeah.
true. It makes for less opportunities to be happy, I guess, because it's oh God, I did it again. I see I was waxing nostalgic and I said that word, and up comes the AI music. I suppose we should do some AI news. Well, this story is going to be a little alarming. An insanely realistic new AI voice is indistinguishable from a human, Jess. I don't know how I feel. I mean,
I don't like it. I know how I feel.
Being an audio guy, I know that, voice quality gets better and better and better as the years go on.
Yeah.
But the fact that an AI voice is indistinguishable from a human voice is a little alarming. Sesame has released, not Sesame Street, but Sesame has released a demo of its new AI voice, and it has left the internet both amazed and disturbed. It wasn't long ago that artificial intelligence still seemed like a distant future technology. Yet over the last few years, we've seen AI advance in leaps and bounds beyond our wildest expectations. One of the most noticeable things that has benefited from advances in AI is computer voice generation, something that was rather limited until the advent of ChatGPT. Gone are the monotone, honking-like computer voices capable of only direct responses to basic questions and keywords. I'm going to miss those, by the way. I kind of like the monotone,
They've grown on me.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad that one. Something that was rather limited until that advent. Now we have conventional AI that feels like we're talking to a human, which I don't know if you've seen the new Google phone commercials, but I don't like the fact that the guy's talking to his phone like it's a human.
I don't either. It's too creepy.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, I totally need advice on my love life and how to cook this, and what happens if I jump off a bridge accidentally and I break my legs, and stuff like that." And it's weird. Like I need advice for a job interview. Well, what would the phone know? It's never been on a job interview.
Right? I don't want it to know. There's something comforting when I ask Alexa a question and she can't answer. She's like, I don't have that answer for you. And I'm like, good. You're not supposed to. Freaking robot.
Right. Of course you don't. You've been sitting on my counter for all that time. You haven't lived life. You don't know. Right?
Yep.
Exactly. Okay, I'm done. I'm done on my soapbox. So designed to come across as authentic as possible, the AI can simulate every nuance of human speech and sounds totally indistinguishable from a real human. Not only does it add emotion to its responses, but it can pause, use ums and ers, and you would be extremely hard pushed to tell that you were talking to a machine. At Sesame, they say our goal is to achieve voice presence, the magical quality that makes spoken interactions feel real, understood, and valued. Sesame writes on its blog, we're creating conversational partners that do not just process requests, they engage in genuine dialogue that builds confidence and trust over time. In doing so, we hope to realize that untapped potential of voice as the ultimate interface for instruction and understanding. There's video with this too. I don't want to play it because I don't want to get freaked out. Yeah, I would probably throw my iPad across the room and then we wouldn't have any stories for the rest of the show.
Yeah, show's over.
Yeah, show's over, kids. I threw my iPad because it creeped me out. All right. Meanwhile, speaking of being creeped out, Jess, are you ready?
Yes.
I'm about to creep you out with some more AI stuff. A huge number of people admit that they'd be cool with their partner hooking up with a robot. You know what? I had to come to this. We had to get to the lowest common denominator so we could go high.
Yeah.
Right. A new survey has shed light on how comfortable people are with AI in their sex lives, and it seems they are willing to let their partners get jiggy with a robot. By the way, that's the new Will Smith Getting jiggy with a robot. A staggering number of individuals have confessed that they wouldn't mind if their partner engaged with a sex robot. Just say I'd mind. Because I'd end up with the one that would really, really dig it. Probably more than me. Right? It would probably run off with the sex robot and leave me for it.
Then you'd really feel bad. It doesn't even have a pulse.
Right? But the partner would probably be like, but you know what? It has more personality. So, you know.
Oh, not possible.
Oh, no, I'm sure. You know. The Zip Health poll aimed to gauge the extent to which people are open to artificial intelligence playing a role in their personal lives. The results indicated a surprisingly high level of acceptance for AI's involvement in everything from diagnosing sexual health issues to substituting human companionship. Findings also highlighted the lengths to which humans are prepared to allow their partners to explore infidelity with a bot. Is it infidelity if it's inanimate?
I mean, weirdly, I don't know the answer to that question. Is it infidelity if you're watching porn and masturbating? I feel like no. Is it kind of the same thing?
Kind of.
I mean, if you have a fleshlight, for example.
Yeah.
It's not infidelity, is it? I don't know. This taking a not safe for work turn, but you asked.
Right. And you're providing, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whether dealing with erectile dysfunction or feelings of loneliness, many respondents admitted they would place their trust in an AI tool. There you go. The survey to investigate how AI is redefining intimacy and sexual health was put to 1,000 people whose average age was 40. So, you know, they were lonely. Of those, 54% were male. There's a shock. 44% were female and 2% were non-binary. Generationally, 8% were baby boomers. 24% were Generation X. 52% were millennials and 16% were Generation Z. Key findings included that 3 out of 5 people would trust an AI tool over a doctor to diagnose erectile dysfunction. That's where this went terribly, terribly, terribly wrong, as Charles Barkley would say. Terribly, terribly wrong. You just see the robot putting out its hand. Put your member here. Additionally, 1 in 4 individuals expressed comfort with their partners being intimate with a sex robot modeled after themselves. So it has to look like them.
That's even more weird.
Well, yeah, and that's boundaries, right? I mean, you know, it can't look like anybody else. That's very controlling. More than a third, 37% of Gen Z respondents admitted to using ChatGPT to combat feelings of loneliness, and 14% would prefer to confide in an AI chatbot about personal issues rather than their partner. So they'd rather talk to their phones.
Sad.
I don't know that I like that. However,
it's not healthy.
No, it's not healthy at all. It's well, I guess it's better than talking to the wall, but however, 2 out of 5 people would view it as infidelity if their partner was intimate with a sex robot modeled after them. You connect.
This is too confusing, Tim.
I know you connect that, Jess. The survey. See, I confused myself. Now I'm still thinking about that. The survey also sought to gauge people's comfort level with AI playing a role in their relationships. So wait a minute, is it cheating? Oh, I have to stop the show and for a second here. Is it cheating if you have a threesome with yourself as an AI robot? I mean, I don't know. Is that how that works?
I don't think that's cheating. I think that's weird, but cool. Well, glad you love yourself.
You have to be the most vain narcissist in the world to bring home an AI robot of yourself and go, honey, it's time for us to have a threesome with me.
It's go time.
There's nobody better to fuck myself than me. I'm just saying. So let's get to it.
Oh my.
This Sorry for being so vulgar, but hey. The survey also sought to gauge people's comfort levels with AI playing a role in their relationships. It revealed that 1 in 4 Gen Z individuals are comfortable with their partner being intimate with a sex robot modeled after them, with men being 69% more at ease. There's an number.
It's an ironic number.
Yeah. With this concept than women. 69% more comfortable than women, Jess. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more. Interestingly, the study found that women are 23% more likely than men to perceive it as cheating if their partner is intimate with a sex robot modeled after them.
But what a strange thing to even have to think about.
I know, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. By the way, 70% of people think there should be regulations around AI intimacy tools. Regulations. 7% of people would choose an AI companion over a human if it could perfectly simulate love and affection.
Oh, that's sad.
That is, isn't it?
It really is.
That. I think I threw up in my mouth a little bit. And 2% of people have developed feelings for an AI chatbot or companion.
Oh,
Those people need an actual hug.
I know they do.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
So there you go. Let's move on to happier stories.
Yes, please.
Museum in Ireland is plagued by sightings of ghostly reflections. So ghosts are trapped in museums. There's happiness for you.
Ooh, I would like that actually.
Would you?
Yeah.
The Irish Wake Museum has been home to numerous unexplained accounts of paranormal activity. The museum, which is situated in Cathedral Square, Waterford, has seen more than its typical share of unexplained occurrences in recent years, leaving its curator desperate for answers. Much of the activity has been in the form of sightings of children's reflections in the glass cabinets that house Georgian-era mourning jewelry. Not like mourning, good morning jewelry, like and I'm mourning your death mourning jewelry.
Right.
Which was made to commemorate the deceased. Particularly chilling is the fact that much of it is housed at the museum, and it was made for very young children, and some even contain real human hairs.
Oh,
Creepy.
scary and sad.
And
With little children's hairs.
Yeah. Some members of staff, particularly those who have been opening by themselves, have seen reflections of children in the glass, said curator, I believe this is Cleona Purcell. We had carpenters and stonemasons working in the building, and even they had stories, but it always seemed to come back to children. One of the most prominent families who lived in the house were the Roberts family in Waterford. John Roberts was a Waterford architect, and his wife Mary had more than 20 children during the course of their marriage. Oh,
Dang.
that poor woman's uterus.
No sex robot for that guy.
No.
Oh, dang.
Unless she bought one for him. I'm just saying.
Oh.
After a while, she was like, "You're not going to touch me, John."
He's like, I'm exhausted.
I'll put it to you this way. I don't even walk anymore. That's what she said to him. Leave me alone in my wheelchair. Take your AI robot and get the fuck out of here. That's what she told him.
Oh, no. 20 kids.
20
oh, Lord.
kids. They just drop out when she walks from the living room to the kitchen. No,
I mean, it gets easier with each one. The last ones probably would.
they just popped out and went to college. I mean, Mary had more than 20 children during the course of their marriage, but only 8 of them survived to adulthood. Oh, that's tragic.
That poor woman.
By the way, are you making a corned beef brisket for St. Patty's Day coming up this weekend?
No, sir, I'm not.
No, you're not. Of course you're not. I know I got one in the freezer.
Do you?
I do, yeah.
That sounds good.
Corned beef and cabbage. I know my horrible Irish accent. I'm going to get crap for it. There were definitely kids who passed away within those walls, by the way, is the quote there. Sightings of ghostly reflections aren't the only thing to be reported within the museum either. The electronics go a bit funny at times, said Purcell. Some of the stories come from visitors who would have considered themselves skeptics. We have even had a couple of people faint. It's said there as well. By the way, I have a friend, Siobhan, who's directly from Ireland. She's here in Minnesota. She says that corned beef and cabbage is not Irish food. In fact, it's offensive.
Oh, that's so funny. Look at us. We're just like totally Irish. We know everything.
Yeah. She's like, no, that's offensive, darling. That's what she says. It's offensive. Nobody eats that crap.
They like shepherd pies, right? Like that kind of hearty stuff.
Bangers and mash and shepherd's pie. And they like good food. They like a good roast beef. Yeah, but they don't, corned beef, no. Like, I don't eat that crap. I don't know what that is. Yeah, it's an American thing. Our next story has to do with the fact that, and it asks the question, are our thoughts actually real? Like real physical things. Here's what philosophers think, according to this article. We all experience thoughts, but do our thoughts objectively exist beyond our own perception of them? You can doubt just about anything, but there's one thing that you can know for sure. You're having thoughts right now. Probably that my Irish accent sucks. That's probably one of them. Just don't hit me over the head with it. This idea came to characterize the philosophical thinking of 17th century philosopher René Descartes. For Descartes, that we have thoughts may be the only thing that we can be certain about. But what exactly are thoughts? This is a mystery that has long troubled philosophers such as Descartes, at which has been given new life by the rise of artificial intelligence, as experts try to figure out whether machines can genuinely think. There are two main answers to the philosophical question of what thoughts are. The first is that thoughts might be material things. Thoughts are just like atoms, particles, cats, clouds, and raindrops, part and parcel of the physical universe. This position is known as physicalism or materialism. The second view is that thoughts might stand apart from the physical world and that they are not like atoms, but are an entirely distinct type of thing. This view is called dualism because it takes the world to have a dual nature, mental and physical. To better understand the difference between these views, consider a thought experiment. Suppose God is building the world from scratch. If physicalism is true, then all God needs to do is produce thoughts to build the basic physical components of reality, the fundamental particles, and put in place the laws of nature. Thought should follow. However, if dualism is true, then putting in place the basic laws and physical components of reality would not produce thoughts. Some non-physical aspects of reality will need to be added. There you go. As thoughts are something over and above all physical components. It gives an argument for why you should be a materialist or a dualist. We'll skip that. But we'll get to the mind and machine part of this argument. So they want to settle the question of what thoughts are, and that they won't completely settle the question of whether machines can think, but it would help. If thoughts are physical, then there's no reason in principle why machines couldn't think. So here's the deal. If thoughts are not physical, however, it's less clear whether machines could think. Would it be possible for them to get hooked up to be non-physical in the right way? This would depend on how non-physical thoughts relate to the physical world. Either way, pursuing the question of what thoughts are will likely have significant implications for how we think about machine intelligence or place in nature. So it's debatable as to whether thoughts are actually physical things or if they're ethereal. But do you want your machines thinking, Jess? I guess that's the question.
I really, really, really don't.
You don't?
No, it's too much. I don't think machines should think. I think it's scary. I don't want my thoughts to be real because I have some really messed up thoughts that go through my brain during the day, especially when I'm writing a book.
I'm going to take it one step further. Do you want your machines to have thoughts, and do you want them to be psychic? Do you want them to be able to read your thoughts?
Heck no. I don't even like it when I say the word Alexa when she hears me.
Well, now, if you could have an intuitive machine, then it would know what you would need before you need it. Wouldn't that be kind of cool?
Maybe. It would be nice to have a psychic on hand who could always just tell me that what I'm doing is the best choice.
Yeah. I mean, think of it. If you had an intuitive robot butler in the house that knew what you needed before you actually knew you needed it.
I think it would make us too spoiled, though. We'd never want for anything, and wanting is good. You need to want.
Although that's how the takeover of the world starts.
Yep.
Intuitive robotics.
Yep. They get us all comfy and we're complacent and we think they're taking care of us. And the next thing you know, they kill us.
They fatten us up for the slaughter.
Yep.
Oh, God, I've just created my own nightmare.
Wow. It's terrifying.
Yeah, it is. Well, according to this new study, everyone has psychic abilities. I would take it that would mean robots as well. But I take things one step too far.
You usually do.
Yeah. A new study has suggested that our innate psychic abilities may be getting suppressed by the brain. Could be a physical thing, not a metaphysical thing, as it's suggested at times. The question of whether or not psychic abilities exist has remained a point of contention for years, while concrete evidence of abilities such as telepathy, telekinesis, and clairvoyance continues to remain elusive. Some people are absolutely convinced that such abilities really do exist. There have even been scientific studies into the phenomenon. Enter Dr. Morris Friedman, who's a Canadian researcher who has headed up a recent study which alleges to have discovered the part of the brain responsible for inhibiting psychic abilities. This is, of course, quite a claim given that the existence of such abilities remains unproven. According to the study, all humans may possess innate psychic abilities. To investigate further, Dr. Friedman and colleagues used a technique known as repetitive transcranial magnetic stimulation, or TMS, to temporarily alter the brain activity of volunteers using magnetic pulses. This, according to the study, helped the team identify an area of the brain responsible for inhibiting psychic abilities and even enabled volunteers to influence a random number generator. These findings are potentially transformative for the way we view interactions between the brain and seemingly random events, said Dr. Friedman. But could this really be proof that psychic abilities are the real deal? Suffice to say, research of this nature is typically met with a great deal of skepticism from the scientific community at large. Even so, it does make for an interesting read. So there you go. Psychic ability.
I do think we all have it.
That's what it's. That's what they say. But I don't know. Some people I think are as dead as a stone. Just saying. Last week we had a Bigfoot story. We have another one here this week about a man recalling being followed by a Bigfoot-like creature in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania tends to be a hot spot for.
Oh, for sure.
A raccoon hunter got more than he bargained for when he went venturing into a remote woodland last month. The terrifying incident, which was later reported to the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, or BFRO, took place over multiple days beginning on February 1st when he had traveled to the west end of Gamelands 333 in Pennsylvania's Center County to hunt for raccoons. According to the man's story, on this occasion, he had parked his truck at the head of the Spring Creek Canyon Trail and had hiked into the woods so that he could set up his equipment. Things took a rather unusual turn, however, when he became overwhelmed with the uneasy feeling of being watched and could hear strange sounds coming from the direction of a creek nearby. Upon packing up with the intention of returning to his vehicle, he shone his light in the direction of the creek and caught sight of a strange humanoid-shaped silhouette which disappeared after a brief moment. He didn't think much of it at the time, but things could get a lot worse on his next trip. On February 19th, he returned again. Only this time, he quickly found himself being followed by someone or something that was shadowing his movements. At one point, while walking along the trail, he heard a loud knock against a tree nearby, followed by the sound of something slowly but surely moving. Don't call me Shirley. Moving through the foliage next to him as he walked along. Then, after scanning the immediate vicinity with a spotlight, his beam caught the face of a large creature. I would think it's at this point, Jess, that he shits himself when he sees the large face.
Yeah.
Just saying. He described it as resembling the face of King Kong from the recent movie, but with a nose that was sharper and not as flared. Its skin was gray with wispy light gray hair, and it had a pronounced brow bridge like an ape with a non-human jaw that was roundish and blocky. Yeah, definitely shitting himself at that point. Getting on a shitting pants, as Negan would say in The Walking Dead. He estimated that the creature stood around 7 feet tall and was extremely muscular. The entire encounter lasted mere seconds, with the creature quickly retreating back into the darkness. Terrified, the man managed to make it back to his truck without further incident. Exactly what it was that he encountered that night, however, remains a total mystery. I think it was Bigfoot. There's no mystery. What do you think?
Pretty much sounds like Bigfoot.
What was it? A homeless raccoon that was 7 feet tall? I don't think so.
I feel like Bigfoot can't win. I mean, he can be as blatant as he wants to be, and people are still gonna be like, I don't know.
Yep. He came right up to us, tweaked our nose, and said, "Got your nose." And we still don't know who he is.
And by the way, I'm Bigfoot.
By the way, here's my card, Bigfoot. But we still don't know who he is. Yep. We took 18 pictures of him, all really clear, but we still don't know who he is.
Exactly.
Even got a video message for our nephew for his birthday, but we still don't know who he is.
I feel like most people are the opposite of Mulder. They don't want to believe.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds like Bigfoot.
Yeah,
what a great encounter.
Yeah, right? I don't know, but still didn't want to believe. A lot of Bigfoot sightings out there. Actually, our good friend Eric Altman's out there in Pennsylvania. And by gosh, I'm going to get him to take us out there Bigfoot hunting.
Oh, I want to go squatching so bad.
Seriously?
Yeah, I really, really do.
I'll get Eric to take us out there.
Please. I would love it so much.
The woods are rife with Bigfoot out there. Much like the hills are alive with the sound of music, the hills are rife with the sound of squatches out in Pennsylvania. There's plenty of them.
Oh, I want to go. All right, you tell him we're coming.
I think he's actually going to do his Squatch camp again in October.
Oh, that would be amazing. And I have a book that I wrote about Pennsylvania. I could legit do a book signing out there, a little book toury thing. I was meaning to do one this spring and it didn't work out, but
there you go. So I'm telling you, we may have to trade your presentation for food. I mean, for a spot at the camp. Just saying. But
let's do it.
We'll have to hit them up, see if we can go camping with those guys. Yeah, he has Lauren Coleman out there. He's got all kinds of cryptozoology.
Yeah, we were gonna go to Lauren's museum and we weren't able to because my co-writer's daughter is on Team USA for figure skating. I mean, what a great reason not to be able to go. But
okay, Team USA or Bigfoot, which one are you gonna choose? Come on. I mean, come on.
I know. It was a bummer though, because we were gonna go to Lauren's museum. And that reminds me, I gotta get him his book in the mail again. I've sent it to him twice and it doesn't seem to show up.
Just like Bigfoot.
Well, I know, Lauren, if you're listening, it's coming.
Hey. Just saying.
Or I'll hand deliver it when we come squatching.
That's right. When we come squatching, we'll just drop it right off. There you go. Well, speaking of things that never show up, Loch Ness, although he did last week.
That's what I heard.
Yeah. The first Loch Ness Monster photograph of 2025 is being hailed as fantastic. It's fabulous.
Fan-freaking-tastic.
Yep. A new image has emerged showing what appears to be a hump, a lovely Nessie hump, just under the surface of the water. After a quiet couple of months, this week has seen several of the first Loch Ness Monster photographs of the year, courtesy of the Loch Ness Center in Inverness. Details remain rather thin on the ground, so we're not sure where exactly on the loch it was taken, but it appears to show a dark mass or hump partially submerged in the water. Efforts are now underway to analyze the photograph and determine what it could be. We've had numerous observations over the years, but this recent sighting has been particularly captivating, said the center's general manager, Nagina Ishak, I believe, or Ishak it is. The conditions on the day of the sighting were absolutely perfect. This could very well be our first significant sighting of the year, further fueling the mystery surrounding Loch Ness and its most famous resident. As always, we're committed to solving the mystery of Nessie once and for all. Our previous collaborations allowed us to advance our research efforts significantly, and this potential sighting is a reminder that the mystery of Loch Ness is far from solved. We continue to explore every possibility and are committed to uncovering the truth. Now, I'll tell you this much, Jess. I'll show you the picture here in a second. Seth Meyers made fun of this thing and said, I recognize two trash bags in the middle of the East River when I see it. It does look a little, I mean, it looks a little suspect, but it's
so
not
hard. I mean, again, like Bigfoot, we're not going to believe it's Nessie until it comes out of the water and we're able to jump on its back and go for a ride.
Right. Until the thing pops its head up and says, I'm here. Right. I mean, you don't know it's Nessie for sure. Right. But have you ever heard of a picture of Nessie where it popped up in full glory and waved to you?
It's always a question mark.
That's right.
Yep.
Speaking of the Loch Ness Research Center, they're hiring a full-time Nessie hunter. And I know you had your hand up earlier. You're like, I'm in, I got it. Y'all can back up now. I got the job. It's all mine. Just back up. Anyone with a keen interest in searching for the Loch Ness Monster may have a chance at their dream job. There's perhaps no cryptozoological creature as famous as Scotland's enigmatic Loch Ness Monster. Yet to date, there remains no conclusive physical evidence to the beast that the beast even exists at all. Well, I don't know about that. Now, however, prospective Nessie hunters are in with a chance to turn their passion into a career. The Loch Ness Center is it Drumnadrocket? Is that how they pronounce it?
Go with it.
Yeah, I'm going with it. A small village on the shores of the loch is currently looking for a full-time Nessie hunter to help scour the waters for the elusive beast. The quote here is, we're on the hunt for an adventurous skipper. Are you an adventurous skipper?
Well, I'm adventurous. I've never been called a skipper, but I could be anything, Tim.
Oh, there you go. Okay. To take the helm of its deep scan cruise vessel. Oh, you get to drive a vessel.
Ooh. That sounds really fun.
Okay, well, you're in. Meaning the successful candidate will spend their days searching for the legendary Nessie while navigating the world-famous waters of Loch Ness. The unique opportunity, based in the heart of the Scottish Highlands, requires a passion for storytelling. I think you've got that going. In order to give guests unique insight into famous monster sightings, as well as sharing the history of the world's most famous loch. The job looks to be well paid. You ready for this? Your average daily wage, Jess? Over $230 a day.
Wait, $230 a day?
Yeah.
Got to do some math. I'm really excited. So you have to work 5 days a week.
5 days a week. $230 a day. So that is what?
4 weeks in a year or a month. Times 12.
So 52 weeks a year.
That's not bad. That's not bad for the gig.
That's if you don't take vacation. So you got to take 4 weeks of vacation a year. Figure. So 48 weeks. 48 weeks a year. So what are we talking there?
That's around $55K.
It's not bad.
It's respectable.
Yeah. For someone who's paddling around in a boat looking for nothing.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Living your dream.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll paddle around in a boat looking for nothing.
Yeah. You could probably, I get motion sick, so this might not be the job for me.
Oh, see.
Darn it.
The ad reads, "The successful applicant must also be a competent skipper with a strong understanding of maritime operations."
Oh, son of a gun, I'm out.
Are you?
Shoot.
Applications close in just 2 days' time, so if you're interested, now's the time to apply.
Oh, hurry up, guys. Someone we know should do it and then tell us about it, and we should come visit them and interview them on the little boat.
Let me see here. I'm going to test your motion sickness. Are you ready? I'm going to show you the pictures. Does that make you want to throw up?
Oh, I just threw up.
Okay, well, you're not going to make
it's going to be bad. No, I can't even rock in a rocking chair, Tim. It's really sad.
Really?
I get so sick. It gets worse as I get older.
Oh.
I'm no fun.
Sorry, kid. All right. Well. All right, our final story before we get to our palate cleanser today. Sometimes in order to make an omelet, you got to break a few eggs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes if you want to make a woolly mammoth, you got to make a woolly mice or meese.
Okay.
I don't know how we make that distinction, but you got to start small in order to make big, right? I mean,
right.
That's the theory. Woolly mammoth de-extinction scientists have created woolly mice, and they're the cutest goddamn things you've ever seen here. Jess, take a look at this. Look at those mices.
Oh, they're adorable.
Aren't they? They're like,
yes.
They're like little tribbles. Look at those mices. Aw. Kind of want one now, except for they might put their head down and gore me when I go to feed them. Just saying. Scientists aiming to bring back the woolly mammoth have modified mice to make them look more, or actually to make them more resistant to the cold. Why not just put little jackets on them? I mean, there you go. There solves your problem. De-extinction might seem like science fiction right now, but over the next few years, we could see the first ever extinct animals, such as the thylacine mammoth or dodo, being brought back to life. Because why wouldn't we need more diseases? Several firms around the world are currently working on the problem, and one of these is Colossal Biosciences, a biotechnology company that aims to achieve de-extinction as soon as 2028. The firm seems to be making some interesting progress, as evidenced this week by the news that its scientists have succeeded in creating something that puts us one step closer to de-extincting the woolly mammoth. The creation of woolly mice. Woolly Mice is a hell of a band name.
I know, so many band names.
I know. The reason for doing this is to validate methods of comparing the genomes of mammoths with today's elephants and finding a way to genome edit the cells of the latter. To this end, the team has been able to edit the genes of mice to give them a woolly coat, reminiscent of those found on mammoths, a key adaptation for improving resilience to cold temperatures. Now, to achieve this, they modified the genes, or 9 genes, related to hair length, color, and thickness. Okay, if they can do this to mice, Jess, how come I don't have a lovely, luxurious head of hair?
That's a good question.
I want to be a woolly Timmy. How come they can't do it?
Sounds like your back already is, so.
Well, yeah. I mean, can't they transfer? I mean, what's the deal?
They should. This is technology and science. Let's go.
Yeah. But while the work is certainly impressive and on a technical level, some argue that the money and effort would be better spent by trying to prevent existing species from becoming extinct in the first place. They do have a point. There's also the problem that doing something like this in elephants will be much more difficult. Engineering a mammoth-like elephant presents a far greater challenge. The actual number of genes is likely to be involved is far higher. The genes are less well understood and still need to be identified, said Dr. Tori Harridge of the University of Sheffield. And the surrogate will be an animal that is not normally experimented on. Well, that could be a problem. Maybe they'll get one of these mice to deliver a woolly elephant.
That would be cool. I want to see that.
That'd be mighty painful, I would think. That's all I'm saying. All right. So it's time now for our palate cleanser. Remember when I said sometimes I was talking about names? Sometimes what's in a name is just a name. But sometimes that name can get you arrested. What's the most famous name you can think of?
Elvis?
Okay, that's one.
Jesus?
Okay, that's another one. I'll give you that one. I won't.
Probably should have said Jesus first.
Yeah, you probably should have said Jesus before. Yeah, I mean, but we're all partial to one or the other. When everybody quotes a certain name, especially when you're thinking of movies, what name do they say?
I don't know. You're testing me.
So if you
Ferris
want,
Bueller?
that's one, but think a little older. If you say the name is,
Dude, I got nothing. I don't know if my brain has just stopped working.
well, when you were a kid, you remember watching a certain spy, and they would say the name is
Bond. Okay, thank you.
right, James Bond.
James Bond. Okay.
Didn't you do that as a kid? Didn't you ever introduce yourself as James Bond?
I was more busy pretending to be a cowboy, but
Okay. All right. Well, believe it or not, there's a real life James Bond out there.
really?
And he was jailed for 60 days for telling the police his name.
Because they thought he was lying.
Exactly. They thought he was giving them crap when he got pulled over. Here's the story. Possessing the name James Bond can have unforeseen consequences, and one unfortunate man found this out for himself. The fictional British Secret Service agent James Bond needs no introduction. Evidently, he does to Jess, but for the rest of us, no. Originally invented in 1953 by author Ian Fleming, the character went on to feature in a long series of movies, which saw him played by prominent actors including Sean Connery, Roger Moore, and Daniel Craig. But James Bond is also a very real name, with many people around the world sharing the moniker of the world's most famous secret agent, something that can both be a blessing and a curse. An example of how it can be the latter was featured in a documentary, The Other Fellow, which is all about the phenomena of people sharing the name of James Bond. On this occasion, a man from Indiana, whose name is James Bond Jr., had been pulled over by the police one day and was asked to provide some identification, which he didn't have on him at the time. When it got to me, I was like, "My name is James Bond," he recalled, and the officer looked at me and said, "I'm going to give you one more chance to tell me the truth." And he said, "My name is James Bond." Incredibly, Bond ended up being charged and had to serve 60 days in jail. The judge said that I was obstructing the police officer from doing his job by me saying my name in a joking manner. And he said, I looked at the judge like, "Are you serious? How can I say James Bond in a joking manner? I said my name." Right?
Yeah.
I had to do like 60 days in a county jail for that. 60 days.
That's crazy.
Right. That right there, that instance, made me look at police in a different way, said Mr. Bond. Tell you what, I'm going to post this story because he tells the entire story on video. So you can see what Mr. Bond truly looks like.
Can't wait.
There you go. And that is your palate cleanser today.
That was a good one. That's
Yeah.
a great show. I'm glad I got to come hang out with you.
Yeah. We want to wish Mally Fox well as well. We fired her today. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm joking. No. Mally was a bit under the weather, so we gave her the day off today. So
You're feeling better, Mally.
I just wanted to play that little trick there and see.
Yeah, you're so mean.
I know I am. No, Mally was under the weather, so we gave her the day off and gave her a little bit of rest. So we hope she's feeling better and hope she can join us again next week. So that's if she gets her unemployment. If it, she gets through it. So, kidding. I'm so kidding.
Oh gosh.
She just needs rest. That's all.
Yes, that's all she needs.
That's right. And she needs me to stop joking. Anyways, what's going on in your world there, Jess, over at the website?
Just cranking out some books. So that's kind of all I've been focused on. So buy a book if you are inclined to read one or connect with me on social media. I'd love to connect with you.
Now, people can get autographed copies of your books, right?
They can, yes. If they let me know, I don't keep them on hand, so I have to essentially order them, sign them, and then send them to them. But I'm happy to do that for people.
And are you working currently on trips, on dates for trips?
I have one that's going to come up in December. That's the only one I have so far on the calendar, but we haven't announced it yet. So we have a couple of things we have to figure out with speakers.
And I have it on good authority that I'm going to get you up to Potographs for Pooches in August.
Ooh, that would be fun. Have them reach out and let me know the date.
I will. I'll let you know the dates. I know I was cornered at Missouri Paracon by two very excited ladies that wanted to know the date, the exact date. I told them the exact date of Potographs for Pooches. I tell you what, folks, if you want to know the exact date for Potographs for Pooches, they haven't announced ticket sales yet for it. But I have a feeling that it will be going up very soon. The March date just happened last weekend. But it's going to be going up here soon. And come join us for Potographs for Pooches up at the Palmer. I believe Richard S. Stepp is back for this one too. So, yeah, it's gonna be a great date and good time. So, yeah, but I want to say it's August 2nd, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe it's August 2nd. So, mark your calendars, folks. For that, we'll have a link in the up at darknessradioshow.com in the event on the events page for that. Okay, with that, we should mention that tomorrow's show is a good one, Jess. I teased it yesterday that we were going to have an old friend by and we were going to have a new investigator by. So here is the deal. On tomorrow's program, the old friend that we have coming by is Joanne Mass from Ghost Brothers.
Cool.
Yeah. He's going to come by. He's going to visit us. And we'll be talking a little bit about not only about life for the Ghost Brothers in the current TV realm, because keep in mind that things are a little complicated. We'll put it that way with Warner Brothers Discovery. They still are around. They still are doing work with Warner Brothers Discovery. We'll talk a little bit about that dynamic and what they're doing with the network. We'll talk about what else is going on with Joanne and how you can get involved with Ghost Brothers and investigations with Ghost Brothers. And there's also a brilliant young investigator out of Alabama who's going to join us as well. And he was with Joanne and he was hanging out with Joanne all weekend. And he's also himself been on Discovery and been on one program on Discovery as well. And his name is Joshua, I believe it's Darren. And Joshua is a brilliant investigator, but a brilliant historian. And we'll have links to his stuff on Instagram and social media. Jess, I'm telling you, if you watch his shorts on, not like watch his shorts, but, you know, watch his video shorts, he comes up with such great stuff. He does a lot of stuff on Bigfoot. He does a lot of stuff on myths and legends, on Instagram and on TikTok and whatnot. We'll talk a lot about his stuff that he talks about, the topics on the state of Alabama and on the South, and his reach expanding throughout the U.S. and covering mysteries and stories that some people talk about and others have forgotten. He does an amazing job with this. So we're going to get into that tomorrow too. So we're going to talk with Joanne and Joshua tomorrow on the program.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be a great program tomorrow. So that's what's up for the rest of the week. So that's tomorrow. So folks, I want you to tune in tomorrow and as we sit down with Joanne and Joshua. All right. So that'll do it for Jessica Freeburg. I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much, folks, for continuing to listen to the program. Our executive producer for today's program is Troy Palmer. I want to thank Troy for everything he does. And join us tomorrow for Joanne and Joshua. And we'll get into it paranormally tomorrow. Deep discussion tomorrow right here on the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio.
For more audio and video archives of the show, intriguing content, and cool swag, check out darknessradioshow.com. The executive producer of Darkness Radio is Troy Palmer. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this program, be sure to like and subscribe. Join us tomorrow for a haunting of historic proportions with Ju Wan Mass and Joshua Darren.